do. And I remember just throwing my hands up going like, this is the future.
When we talk about AI, a lot of times people don't know how to distinguish between automation and AI. They think that they're one and the same thing. A part of AI is automation that helps us to do things faster. But AI is not automation. I'll say that again. A part of AI is automation, but AI is not automation. Automation can be something as simple as pre-AI, having an email reminder, I'm out of the office. So someone emails you and you send an automated email saying that I'm out of the office. That's not AI. And if you look at the way that we use AI, we're using it, some of us, with just automation in mind. And that's why we're not getting the best out of it. If you're listening today and you're in small business or you're thinking about being in small business, this conversation is for you because we're going to get to the bottom of understanding the distinction between automation, AI, how you can scale your business using and leveraging AI tools, AI agents and tools, and why if you're not using these tools that are here for us to scale, then you might be missing the mark. You know, some people want to be Blockbuster. Everybody doesn't want to be Netflix. My name is NaRon Tillman, and this is Walk in Victory, where we sit you at the feet of the masters and have conversations to help you evolve your life. Today, our master is Dr. Bradford, and we're going to be discussing all things AI, making distinctions between AI and automation. Get your pens, get your pads, and let's get ready for this conversation. How are you doing, sir?
I'm incredible. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thank you for jumping on with us.
Absolutely. I love what you say at the beginning there, because AI is not automation. Automation may have AI. And that's the funniest thing, because that's what I have to drill into clients of mine, because they think AI is this magical thing that can do anything, and not quite. That's not it. Because if I come into your business to try to automate stuff, my very first question is, okay, what are your processes? And I get these blank stares like, processes? Oh, I was supposed to figure that out? Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, so let's jump right there to the process portion. When we're looking at processes and we're diving into how we operate on a day in, day out basis, can AI, if I don't have processes in place, can AI assist me?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. It has been up to this point, most likely. If anybody's been using ChatGPT to fix their emails, yeah, there's AI fixing it for you. And I'll admit, you know, there's times I'm like, man, I really want to say this, but let's just clean it up, make it nicer. ChatGPT, help me with that, because I can't think of a word to say. But, you know, to write your reports, if you need a quick, simple contract, that sort of thing. I used to be an attorney, and I look at these tools now and I'm like, man, if I had had this back then, I wouldn't have worked near as hard as I did. Still would have charged $200 an hour, but I wouldn't have had to work as hard. But, you know, but when you add in the automation component, it's a totally different beast. It's a totally different entity in its at all. Like it's not AI the way they think of it, because I can take every single step of what you do, build it out into the computer system, and then it does it. So a quick example is if you have an e-commerce business, you probably deal with Google Merchant Center, and you have to have your Google taxonomy number, and you put in your age group and your colors and all of that stuff. It takes hours and hours, especially if you have lots of different products. Well, I whipped together an automation for a client of mine, and it took a 16-hour job, and it got it done in 2 hours after just hitting a button and walking away. 2 hours later, they came back, the job was done. Didn't have to do it. So that's the kind of power we're talking about. We're talking about automation versus just AI, because ChatGPT is not going to do that for you.
No. So you landed into this business. You help entrepreneurs scale and to really, really find their footing. But we have this tool, that artificial intelligence. How has it been for you implementing this in what it is that you already do, and then selling it to the customer? Because some people are on the fence. They don't know if it's going to be something that they want to use. They feel seedy. They feel as if maybe it's taken away from their own intellectual prowess. However they feel.
Sure.
How has that journey been?
Sure. So I started out as an attorney, transitioned to a business coach and consultant, been a consultant for 9 years now or so, something like that. And so everything that I am doing now, I was doing then before AI. Like my process hasn't changed. I'm just able to do it much faster. But as my journey went, being a consultant, you make marketing plans, you make business plans, you're doing research, you're doing all that stuff. And ChatGPT came out, ChatGPT 3 came out, November, December 2022. And I remember just throwing my hands up going like, this is the future. This is it. If you're not on this boat, like you're going to get left behind. And so I just started making all kinds of social media posts. I started making lead magnets. I started just having it write anything I could. And like back then, it was junk compared to what we have now. Like I look at what I was making back then, I'm like, it's awful. But I knew there was going to be a transition from just AI to automation when I saw maybe March of 23. So only like 4 months after ChatGPT came out, this thing called AutoGPT. And you had to have this in your computer, and it like did all this coding, and like I couldn't figure out how to get it to work because I'm not a techie. Like that's just not my thing. But I knew that you could automate it, and it failed miserably when I tried it. So I'm like, okay, I'm just keep using ChatGPT. I was happily using ChatGPT for years, knowing in the back of my head, automation was going to be a thing. It's going to be there soon. It may not be there yet, but it's going to be there real soon. And end of last year, I was looking at all these tools coming out, and I'm like, I think we're at a point that I don't need to know how to code to be able to do it. So I tried to learn how to code, and that was no fun. Like, because if you know how to code, it makes it easier because you can actually do stuff in the computer. But I figured what I should do is, if I can't learn how to code, I have to find another way, because we have to do automation. If you don't use these tools, you're going to get left behind. So I found a platform that's low code. So it's basically just pictures, and it's like Legos. I stick them together, and I'm able to build automations. And I build in the system prompts for my AIs. So take a step back really quick. If you're using ChatGPT, you're typing into the little window what you want it to do. How it knows what to do for you is based on the system prompt that it has. So it's at the back end instructions that the AI is getting. Well, with the tools I'm using, I can fill in those back end instructions that I'm giving to each of my AIs in my automation, so it knows exactly how to do each thing I want it to in turn. And so December, I got into this. I was 100% for my own purposes, for my own business. And as I'm building out workflows for myself and automation and workflow is essentially the same term. So if I say one, I mean the other. I'm building out these tools for myself, and I built so many of them that I was saving so much time. I was actually working more because I had more to do. And I got to a point, my wife is looking at me, she's like, you've made like 30 of these workflows, these automations. You need to go sell them. Stop just sitting on them and go put them out into the market. So that's how I kind of got into the AI space, even though I'm not a techie. I'll say that to the rafters. I do not know how to code. I don't know how to program. If there's any coding required, I go to ChatGPT still. I say, hey, I need to do this. Can you help me? And I either get it to work the first time or it breaks and I tell it to fix it. And I just do that over and over again. And then I get these things that work really well. But to answer the question that you had at the end, like, why should people get in on this? This is the future. It's like what the internet was right after the internet came out. It's like what social media was right after social media came out. It's like what computers were right after computers came out. It's the thing that everybody is going to be using. And either you're in it now and you're one of the first early movers, or you're going to be on the sidelines watching everybody else going, oh, well, when it finally does this or that or the other thing, until it eventually does it for you and everybody's made their money. You missed the boat.
I said that in any industry, there's room for thought leaders, right? We're not at the ground floor, but we still have enough leeway where we can have thought leaders emerge and not be ones that sit on the sideline. Case in point, we were just talking about podcasting and the whole context of Christian podcast and the vitriol that one could get from wearing their faithfulness. For me, I don't care what people say. But even in the space of Christianity, where we're gonna have religious leaders to cry out to the high hills that this is the devil, right? There's room for, if you're listening and you are a pastor, there's room for thought leaders in the area of AI. For me, and you can help me flesh out this process. If you feel like this is something that can hinder, why not position yourself to make sure that you're creating great agents that fit your worldview? Don't sit on the sideline and point your finger at somebody else. Be a participant, because it's not going anywhere, and be a thought leader and take that route as opposed to being the last to the party.
Right. They're tools. That's all they are. And I think too many people are conflating them with Terminator or any of those sci-fi movies where the robot is coming alive. Like it's not that. It's not that in any way, shape, or form. It's the same thing as on your phone. When you go to send a text message, it just picks the next word. You just push the next word over and over again. That's all it's doing, which is why it hallucinates. And that's just because it picked the wrong word and went down the wrong path. There's nothing more complicated than that. It's a tool. It's your computer. It's being run on big servers and it's drawing a lot of electricity, but that's it. That's it. I mean, I don't feel bad about it. I don't think it has a soul.
You're helping businesses now to really understand. So what are some of the key things? If you was to give 3 key things, this is for people are revving back up. They're back off for vacation. They're listening to us talk. Let's give them some key takeaways that you are championing for businesses that you work with.
Certainly. First thing is, if you want to get into AI processes, you have to know what your SOPs are, your standard operating procedures. And that right there is number 1, 2, and 3, just because like every business I go into, and you think business has their stuff together, and you get in there, they're making lots of money. They got lots of big clients. You get in there and you're like, okay, you want to automate. So what's the process that you do? Oh, well, we just kind of sit around, we powwow about it. We come up with some ideas and then we go forward and make it happen. Like, okay, well, that you can't automate that necessarily. How do I do this? So you have to know what it is and how you do your business. Step 1 through Z, like all the way, every single thing. How do you do it? Because unless you know how to do it, you can't automate. Yes, you might be able to do ChatGPT on step D and F because you need to write this or write that. But where are you getting your information from? Do you have if you're getting clients, how do your clients come in? Do they have an intake form that they fill out? If so, cool, that's a step we can automate. We can build that out. We can have that right in the system. That information, again, that gets passed. And how do you then process it? Well, we take their information and we put it into our follow-up system. Okay, that's a system we can process. But if you know what you do, but you can't explain it, then there's no way to automate it. And that's the hardest part in getting through to entrepreneurs, is they have to know in a way that they can explain it to an employee. I see too many like solos who they know what they do really well. They're really good at it. But as soon as somebody comes in, they micromanage because they don't trust them to do it. You have to let go. You have to start thinking like a bigger business, because every automation you have is like an employee. And that's how I treat it. That's how I build it. When I first started, I built an org chart. I figured out what the different departments of the organization I wanted to build were. I figured out what employees needed to sprinkle in there. And then what were the tasks each employee would have to do. Each task is an automation. Think of it like that. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Like that's it. That's all I want to say, because if you can't figure out your processes, there's nothing to talk about.
So let's really dive into that, because this is the thing, and I coach people, and I say if you're going on vacation and you put the sign in the window, we'll be open back in 2 weeks, we were on vacation, then you're not really in business. The business is you're working for the business. The business is not working for you. But we see that because it's like a cook, right? Grandma, I heard this story about the family arguing over should they keep the chicken butt part on or off, but grandma always cut the chicken butt off.
Yep. And why? Because the oven was only so big.
The oven
Yeah.
was, but they had this big fight, and you're messing up the tradition, and then realized because the oven was too small. Some people are working, they may be making good money, put their kids through college, but they're working with small ovens. They never really sat down to think about their business on this way. And we always build things assuming that our family wants to inherit it. All right.
Yeah.
Let me, for those of you listening, your children may not want to deal with your business when you're done. So we're not.
I started my career as an elder law attorney. Your children don't want it.
So if we get out of that mindset and we had to really explain what we do to someone else that's coming in to help us, what are some of the first things that we need to look at? How do we even proceed? Because we do a lot of these things from our subconscious and we don't even realize that we're doing them.
Sit down with a notepad. I'm still old fashioned. I still use notepads.
Me too.
Sit down with a notepad and a pen on your recliner or your chair, get real comfortable and just think, what do I do every day? To write it out. And as minute as you can think of, I gotta make sure I take the trash out. Okay, well, you can't automate that yet. Maybe when we have robots, we can. But everything that you would do in your business, just write it out and then think through the process of how do I actually do that thing? Well, and as granular as you can possibly get, I open up this folder in my computer and I click on this file. If you can do that, that is the beginning of your automated process because that is something that you can tell the computer to do. If you just say, oh, go get the file, and you don't tell it where it is or which file name it is, it's never gonna know, just like an employee. You can't just say, oh, go file the reports. Well, where the heck are the reports? I don't know. So you really have to just sit down, be relaxed. Too many people get stressed out about this. You know, this should be a fun process. We're building businesses, right?
And by the time if we go through this process, I have my book is coming out, Awakening I Am, and I give one of the chapters is dedicated to time management and mapping out even. But there was a book that said, don't sweat the small stuff, but no, map out the small stuff because those are the secret sauces, that extra hint of salt, right? That extra thing that you take for granted, but you know is necessary in order for the job to be complete. So you want to be able to really, really understand every movement, those micro movements that builds that bigger movement, right? Every big move, every block has micro movements involved that makes the bigger block. Right? And
that's right.
We take for granted that these small things can be automated.
Is that a question? I agree with you. Fundamentally, it's the thing that I try to do is ever since I started this journey of building bots or workflows or automations back in December of last year, my goal is to build one a day, one new one a day. And they don't have to be super complex processes that take over my entire job. It can be, how do I handle this type of email? When this type of email comes in, you know, I have an email management system that catches it and tags it. And okay, well, if I didn't have this particular kind caught before because I forgot about it, I built a new process to handle just that one. And as I go day in and day out, building a new process for myself, these things start to stack up because it's reusable, it's copyable. I can either sell it as a product myself if I want, but it's mine forever once I've built it. And so I'm not stressed out about it because I understand over time that everything will get automated. And I just focus on the things that I need to get done first, the things that I spend the most amount of time on. And I'll tell you, here's the truth. My focus is actually on making my wife stop nagging at me, to be truly on it.
You create an agent for that, send it to me.
She's my business partner, I wish. And so every day she comes to me, she tells me what she did, but it's always, I had to spend like 2 hours doing this. Okay, well, let me see if I can automate that for you too. And then she's nice and happy again, and I get to have a nice, happy home.
Give me an example of some of the agents that you've created.
Sure. So when you say agents, agents is a term of art in the AI space. So an agent is something that if you give it a task, it'll go off and it'll figure out every little bit of what it needs to do to get it done. I don't have those.
Okay.
I don't build that because I want to be involved in the process. I don't trust these things.
Okay, gotcha. See that now that's a distinction, right? Like there, and this is the case important. This is why these conversations are important, because as we continue to develop, the language is going to change, and there need to be distinctions between agents and what it is that you build. So now we know that it's not an agent, it's for automation, but what do you call it?
I call it an automation. I call it a workflow. It's just a tool. It's a task accomplishing robot. So to answer your question, as an example, I have a tool that when I'm having a client meeting, we do it via Zoom just like this. And I record that meeting. I get my transcript from it, and I'll use my agent, my workflow. Now you got me saying it. My workflow I take the transcript, it processes the transcript, it reads the entire thing, whether half an hour or an hour long, and then it'll do a client needs assessment. It figures out what they're asking for, exactly what it is they need, the contours of what needs done, the requirements, the optional items, the things that they wish they would like followed up on, deadlines, and it creates this 20-page report for me that it gets sent to the client. It gets sent into my processes, and I then take that report, I further break it down into things that I need to send to my fulfillment team and so on and so forth. So that's just one example. So one makes the report for me. I have an entire executive assistant suite that I built. So when I started out, I had big dreams. I wanted to just build the perfect executive assistant. And I realized right quick, if you don't have a clue what you're doing when you're starting to build small to start. Just little tools. And once you have a whole bunch of little tools, then you build a manager on top of them that handles using those tools. Then you talk to the manager only rather than calling the tool. And then when you have a bunch of different departments and they all have their little tools, then you build your executive assistant on top of that to actually do all the work. And so I have this one bot that has 31 tools that it calls across different domains, everything from managing my calendar to sending my emails. And anytime I want to take a note, I just open Slack, I send a message to it, just natural speech. I don't have to tell it in any particular way. I have to say, take a note, and then it takes my notes for me. Those notes then get turned into action items that get put into a spreadsheet, and then I just go down one by one with my number, my ID number for that thing, and I then tell it what to do of one of my 31 tools. And so then it does that. So I just treat it like a team of staff now, and it's the coolest thing in the world. It's a little eerie sometimes because I just sit there with a robot just copying and pasting numbers and telling it what to do. But that's the future we're moving toward.
These are your creations. These are your mini yous.
Mm-hmm.
You have the lawyer mind, so it's probably a little bit more. Is it? You have a lawyer mind, so is it easier for you to think in segments and details? Does that part of the brain help you to create your agents?
So that's funny you say that, because law school is like boot camp. They break you down just to build you up to think a certain way. But the way they taught us to think was in terms of risk. And so, yes, a little bit, because as I'm building these things, I'm always thinking, well, how could I break it? Or how could a client break it? Or how could an end user break this? If I'm building an email management system that produces a draft email for me every morning for all my emails, how do I know that that draft that it gave was what I would have said? Right. And so I asked those questions, but I think it's more so just having been in business long enough, you screwed up enough as a business owner, how to avoid enough pitfalls to make things work. So that's it. Like, oh, you had a client who requested a refund because of X reason before. You'd build that into the system to either prevent that from happening again or to be able to handle it if that comes up again. And so it's really just experience. I wouldn't say it's a lawyer mind. I wouldn't say you need a lawyer mind. Just because I'm book smart doesn't mean I'm automation smart.
So now you're helping businesses scale. And everyone says that they want to scale.
Yeah.
And when we get down to it, the work that it takes to really move from one level to the next. What are some of the common misnomers that you see across industry that people feel is hindering them from scaling?
Number one thing is people think that because they have a good idea, that people should give them money. So I make a lot of referrals to investors. I've referred over $6 billion of funding needs to angels and investors and funders around the world over the past 9 years. So I've seen lots of business plans and lots of marketing plans, and I know what gets funded and I know what doesn't. And just because you have a good idea doesn't mean that it is investment worthy. The thing that makes it investment worthy is that you have a system that makes money, whether you're there or not. And so this is what we're talking about, is building these automations that allow you to have a business that does not require you to be there. If you own, as an example, if you own a laundromat and you want investment money, you're probably not going to find someone to give you investment money. However, if you go and you buy 50 laundromats, or you get a contract to be able to buy those 50 laundromats, you can then get an investor, because now you have a business, because you're not going to be running any one of those. You'll have a manager at each one, and you'll have pricing. You'll be able to chart. You'll know what you're doing because you've built a business, not a job, like you would say.
Yeah, and so we'll end on that, and that's great. In 2025, we see that there is opportunity in the world of AI, in entrepreneurship. Period. The country needs more small business owners.
That's right. That's
What are you saying? Champion the small business owners. One, we know you're saying get your processes together. 2, don't create a job, create a business. But what is one more takeaway that we should really start thinking about before we sit across from you?
If you want to sit across from me and have me advise you on how to do all this, you have to be driven. That, like, it's, oh man, I see people who come in and they want automation because, oh, it'd be nice to have, versus I want automation because I want to own my industry. And I do podcasts like this all the time, and I get asked, oh, where do you see us in 5 years? 5 years, I have no clue. Who knows where tech's going to be in 5 years? A year from now, it's going to be the people who dug in right now who are on top. Because if you can build the right system that brings in your leads for you, that handles the intake of those leads, that processes whatever that is they need, that processes the follow-up, that does all of the work fully automated without you needing to be involved, those are the people who are going to be super wealthy, and they're going to cut everybody else out of the market because it's just infinite scale. I have the tool. I don't need to rebuild the tool. I have it. I can send as many clients as I want through the tool. It doesn't cost me any extra, really. You know, a portion of a penny to do anything, really. So it's infinite scale, and anybody who's not jumping on it is getting left behind. Wow. You have to have that drive.
Wow. And the learning curve. Most people, somebody may be listening right now. I'm saying to parents, your kid may be graduating college, high school or something like that now, and they don't want to go to college. Get them a context engineering course. Let them learn how to do front end stuff for what you said that you couldn't do well.
For programming, any of it.
Anything, but these are really low entry things that a lot of colleges are not giving out yet, that can get them employable fast, because the industry is going to demand persons that know how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, go find me on YouTube. I have tons of tutorials on how to use one platform. It's called N8N. It's the low code platform that I use. You watch all my videos, you'll know as much as I do on how to be able to build these things. You can go to any business, say, hey, I'll build you automations. They're not going to know any better that you haven't built any for anybody else yet. They just know they need automations. Build up your book of business.
And there you have it. We're living, this window of opportunity is probably going to be for the next 18 months or so, but it's going to shut quick.
Yes. It's
going to shut quick. The paid gate is going to be very pricey. Yep. Once everyone finds their footing, right now, everyone's posturing for position. No one knows who's gonna be the champion, right?
Right.
So right now you have Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Fanta. Oh, well, they're all part of Pepsi products, but another one,
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper, right? They're all saying, "Hey, we want to corner this market." So you have ChatGPT, OpenAI, Google. Everyone is paying, trying to steal employees, looking through the window for ideas. Like they're all, but eventually the dust is going to settle. You're going to have your main players, and then the paid gate is going to be so that only a certain type of person has entry.
That's right.
It's going to be back to where digital marketing was, where you're paying $2,000 for a digital marketing class. And right now you can get information because they're giving the information away because they want more people using it because they have to build data.
Yep. They have to build data. They have to build up their client base. I mean, all those companies are losing money. All the ones you just mentioned, the AI companies, they're losing money hand over fist. No one's making any money right now.
No.
They're trying to get market share and hope everybody else falls out before they do.
And that's the game, right? But when you're in business, most people, which is why I don't like business partners or investors at times, because the moment that somebody writes your check, the next morning they call you, "How's everything going?" It takes some time. Do we make anything? Do we make anything? So that's why it is not good to invest for others. Last thing, what are you build an agent every day? Or you build I keep calling
workflow.
A workflow every day. What are some of the things that are exciting you about workflows now?
So in my journey, I've been building a community. And so my focus has largely been building stuff that would help that community. And I've just this past weekend made the realization, I think I've got enough out there for free that the lead magnets, there's no point in continuing to build more content for people. So I'm going to focus on myself again, focusing on my business. And I'm super excited. I've got a sticky note here. I got sticky notes all over of all the different bots I'm planning on building, inventory management systems. I've got people in my community who are building groups of agents or AIs that talk to each other in a loop. And it just goes around and around for hours, just idea generating and talking about different things and risks that they have to worry about in all these things, outputting it into a spreadsheet. Well, each of those things every idea it comes up with is something that I can automate. And then I can do that and just build up my business and automate myself out of a job.
Well, I'm going to join the community. Dr. Bradford is leading with value. Tell the people where, first of all, his information will be in the description, but just verbally tell people don't like to read. So tell everybody who is.
Sure. You can find a ton of my free material on YouTube. Just search for Bradford Carlton. I will be the first thing that pops up. You can also go to my community. It's a school community. So it's www.school.com/automate-business-AI. And you'll get all my tutorials there as well. A bunch of the workflows that I give away. I have like 35 already pre-built workflows and tools there that you can start your journey with. You don't have to reinvent it like I did. I give it all to you for free. And just find me online, Bradford Carlton. I'm pretty much everywhere.
Well, I'm going to be getting some of those workflows because I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm letting you all know that I'm buying in, right? Because these are things that I was going to sit down and try to invent myself, but I don't have to. We have somebody that's already doing it. And that's how you pay it forward. One, when you get someone's workflow like that, it helps them because their work is getting put out, but they're also getting back information. And it's going to help them become better creators, but it's also going to take some time off of you because you don't have to sit down and bang your head against the wall trying to figure it out yourself. I told you guys we sit you at the feet of the masters and we have conversations to help you evolve your life. This conversation was great. I'm pretty sure that you got some information that you can use, but if you didn't get any information you can use, you do have workflows that you can add to your everyday life and take some of the busyness off of yourself and automate yourself out of the job. We don't ask you for cash apps or Venmos or any of those things, and we're not knocking persons that do. We like to lead with value. But in exchange, what we do ask is for a few simple things. One, that you support our guests. You have all of his information. Go find him on social media, follow him, get involved in that network. Two, that you go to our website and that you support us by, we have the book coming out, signing up to the mailing list. That helps us. And finally, that you hit like, share, and subscribe so that other people can hear this conversation. That's it. Bunch of things that you can do in a few seconds. Click, 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 click. And finally, don't walk with your head down. Don't walk making excuses. Don't walk allowing this time to pass because you're going to sit on the sidelines waiting to see what happens. Roll up your sleeves. Get you some comfortable shoes and walk in victory with us, because that's what we're on our way towards, victory. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.
And I remember just throwing my hands up going like, this is the future.